Chosen one, if lately you have felt pressed from every side, if life has felt heavier than your prayers, if you have been asking God why the doors stayed closed while others seemed to walk into blessings so easily, listen closely, because this is not the season where you are being forgotten. This is the season where heaven is preparing to reveal why you had to survive so much. You were not brought through pain for nothing. Every silent tear, every sleepless night, every moment you kept believing while your circumstances mocked your faith was not wasted. God was not punishing you. He was strengthening the vessel. He was shaping the mind, purifying the heart, and building the kind of spirit that could carry something greater than comfort, greater than approval, greater than ordinary success. The world may have measured you by what you lacked, but heaven measured you by what you were becoming. People saw delay, but God saw formation. People saw struggle, but God saw endurance. People saw someone trying to survive, but God saw a steward being prepared for abundance. The wealth God has prepared for you is not only about money, it is about freedom, influence, responsibility, and divine assignment. It is the power to build, to heal, to lift your family, to open doors for others, and to become evidence that God can trust a faithful heart with more. This blessing is not about greed. It is about stewardship. When God releases much, He is not looking for someone who only knows how to receive. He is looking for someone who knows how to manage, multiply, and bless. Think about Joseph. He was betrayed, sold, imprisoned, and forgotten by people who should have remembered him, but in one divine moment, God lifted him from the dungeon to the palace. What looked like rejection was actually positioning. What looked like delay was divine timing. And chosen one, something in your life is beginning to shift the same way. Your waiting was not empty, chosen one. It was a hidden classroom where God was teaching you how to carry what would have destroyed a smaller version of you. There were seasons when you wanted the blessing immediately, when you wanted the door to open, when you wanted the money, the opportunity, the recognition, the answer. But heaven knew that if it came before your roots were deep, the weight of it could bend you in the wrong direction. That is why every delay had purpose. Every closed door was not rejection. Some doors were blocked because behind them were distractions dressed like destiny. Some people were removed because they could not walk with the version of you God was building. Some opportunities were withheld because they looked promising, but they were too small for the assignment written over your life. You have watched others rise. You have seen people with less faith, less discipline, less sacrifice, step into rooms you prayed for. And maybe you asked in silence, "Lord, when will it be my turn?" But God was not ignoring you. He was refining you. He was teaching you patience in a world addicted to speed. He was teaching you discernment in a generation full of noise. He was teaching you how to hear His voice when every other voice tried to pull you into panic. The abundance prepared for you is not random. It is connected to obedience. It is connected to the nights you kept going when no one clapped. It is connected to the private battles you won when no one saw the temptation to quit. You are not stepping into wealth because you chased it from desperation. You are stepping into it because God can trust what your suffering has purified. This is why the enemy fought your confidence so hard. He knew that if you ever understood who you were, you would stop begging for survival and start walking like a steward of divine resources. He whispered lack, fear, comparison, and defeat, but every attack only proved there was something costly on your life. Ordinary people are not resisted this deeply. Chosen vessels are. There is a moment, chosen one, when God stops explaining your pain and starts revealing its purpose. For years, you may have only seen fragments. A disappointment here, a betrayal there, a door closing without warning, a season where your prayers seemed to hit the ceiling and fall back into your own hands. But heaven was never confused. God was arranging pieces you could not see, connecting moments that looked broken, building a future out of the very places where you thought you had lost too much. This is why you cannot judge your destiny by your current pressure. The seed does not look like the harvest while it is buried. The foundation does not look like the palace while it is hidden underground. And you, chosen one, have been hidden for a reason. God was not hiding you because you were unworthy. He was hiding you because what he placed inside you needed protection before exposure. The billions prepared for you are not just a financial shift, they are a spiritual unveiling. They represent access, movement, influence, divine connections, and the ability to obey God without being chained by fear. Lack has tried to silence you. Pressure has tried to shrink your vision. But God is breaking the mindset that taught you to survive small when he created you to carry overflow. You are not being called into abundance so you can prove people wrong. You are being called into abundance so you can prove God faithful. There is a difference. Revenge builds monuments to pain, but purpose builds altars of gratitude. When this blessing comes, your heart must remain clean. Your hands must remain open. Your spirit must remember that every resource is a responsibility. So do not despise the training ground. Do not curse the wilderness. Joseph needed the pit, the prison, and the silence before he could stand in Pharaoh's court with wisdom. David needed the field before the throne. Esther needed hidden preparation before public influence. And you needed this season, because what is coming will require more than desire. It will require maturity. Now listen closely, chosen one, because abundance without alignment can become another prison. Many people pray for increase, but they never ask God to enlarge their character. They want the open door, but not the discipline to walk through it. They want the overflow, but not the wisdom to pour it correctly. That is why God has been dealing with your heart before dealing with your circumstances. He has been removing pride, fear, impulse, bitterness, and the need to impress people who never understood your assignment. The wealth coming into your life must not become an idol. It must become an instrument. It must not make you forget God. It must make you more aware of how deeply you need him. Because when heaven trusts you with resources, it is not only testing what you can receive, it is testing what you will worship. Will you bow to the blessing, or will you honor the one who released it? Will you chase status, or will you carry purpose? This is where many fail. They ask for more, but when more comes, their soul becomes smaller. They forget the prayers they whispered in the dark. They forget the people who need healing. They forget the assignment attached to the access. But that will not be your story. You have cried too much, learned too much, and survived too much to waste divine favor on shallow living. God is not raising you to look rich. He is raising you to become useful. Useful to his kingdom, useful to the broken, useful to the families who need hope, useful to the voices that have been ignored, useful to the future that is waiting for someone brave enough to build it. So prepare your hands, prepare your mind, prepare your schedule, prepare your habits. When the call comes, when the connection appears, when the opportunity opens, do not freeze in fear. Move with wisdom, move with prayer, move with courage. Faith is not passive. Faith gets up when God says, go, chosen one. There is something powerful about a blessing that arrives after you have been tested. It does not feel cheap. It does not feel accidental. It carries weight because you know what it cost you to become the person who can hold it. You remember the days when your faith was the only thing keeping you from collapsing. You remember the moments when bills were waiting, pressure was rising, people were judging, and all you had was a quiet prayer whispered through tired breath. But God saw it all. He saw the private obedience. He saw the times you chose integrity when compromise would have been easier. He saw the sacrifices no one celebrated. He saw the dreams you placed on the altar because you trusted his timing more than your own urgency. And now, what was planted in tears is beginning to rise as harvest. This is why you must stop calling yourself behind. You are not behind. You are being aligned. The path of the chosen is rarely fast, but it is precise. God does not rush what he intends to use for generations. He builds deep before he builds high. He forms roots before he releases fruit. And the reason your process felt longer than others is because your assignment carries more than personal comfort. It carries legacy. Think of Abraham, called away from the familiar with nothing but a promise. He did not have every detail. He did not have proof that made sense to people watching him. He had a word from God, and that was enough to move. That is the kind of faith being required from you now. Not faith that only believes when everything is visible, but faith that takes the next step while the road is still forming. The abundance coming to you will require movement. When God opens the door, walk through it. When He sends the connection, honor it. When He gives the idea, act on it. Do not let fear make you hesitate at the threshold of your own breakthrough. You have not endured this much just to freeze when heaven says, now. There is a kind of fear that appears right before elevation, chosen one. It does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers, what if I am not ready? What if I fail? What if this promise is too big for someone like me? But listen carefully. Fear is not a prophecy. Fear is only a shadow trying to stand in front of the light God has already released over your life. God did not carry you through storms just to abandon you at the edge of the promise. He did not teach your hands to fight, your heart to endure, and your spirit to discern, only to leave you powerless when the door finally opens. The same God who sustained you in lack will guide you in abundance. The same God who protected you in obscurity will cover you in visibility. The same God who heard your hidden prayers will give you wisdom in public places. Think about Esther. She did not choose the weight placed on her life, yet when the moment came, she stepped forward with courage. She had fear, but fear did not rule her. She understood that her position was not just for comfort, beauty, or recognition. It was for purpose. It was for a people who needed deliverance. And chosen one, the influence God is bringing into your life is also bigger than you. It is connected to lives you have not met yet, prayers you will help answer, doors you will open for others. That is why courage is required. Not the kind of courage that pretends nothing hurts, but the kind that moves while the heart is still trembling. You do not need to know every detail. You do not need to see the full map. You need to trust the one who wrote the assignment before you understood the cost of it. The 1% are not those who never feel fear. They are the ones who refuse to let fear become their master. They keep walking. They keep believing. They keep obeying. And tonight, heaven is calling you to step beyond survival and enter the authority of your Khan. Chosen one, now we must speak about legacy, because the blessing God is preparing is not meant to end with you. Some people only want enough to escape their own pain, but God is calling you into something wider, something that reaches beyond your personal comfort and touches generations you may never meet. The abundance coming into your hands is not just provision. It is a seed. It is a bridge. It is a voice that will keep speaking long after this season has passed. You have been through too much to live only for yourself. The betrayal taught you discernment. The lack taught you compassion. The waiting taught you patience. The pressure taught you strength. And now God is gathering all of those lessons and turning them into wisdom that can build something lasting. What once looked like damage is becoming a foundation. What once felt like loss is becoming language for your assignment. Think about Noah. He built before the rain came. He obeyed while people mocked. He prepared for a future no one else could see. That is the posture God is calling you into now. You may not see the full flood of abundance yet, but you are being asked to build with faith before the evidence becomes visible. Build the habits, build the vision, build the plan. Build the inner life strong enough to survive public elevation. Your wealth will speak. It will speak through the people you lift, the dreams you fund, the families you strengthen, the communities you restore, and the doors you refuse to close behind you. God is not just making you successful, He is making you significant. Success can impress people for a moment, but significance can change lives for generations. So do not shrink your vision to match your current resources. Heaven is not limited by what is in your hand right now. God can multiply what you surrender, expand what you steward, and breathe life into what others called impossible. Your legacy begins the moment you decide that your blessing will not stop with you. Chosen one, there is a sacred difference between receiving wealth and becoming trustworthy with wealth. Many people imagine abundance as a sudden escape from pressure, but God sees it as a holy responsibility. He is not only asking whether you can handle more money. He is asking whether your soul can remain anchored when more comes. He is asking whether your heart will still kneel when your name begins to rise. This is why stewardship matters. The blessing is not yours to worship, it is yours to manage. It is not given to make you arrogant, distant, or careless. It is given to reveal God's goodness through your decisions. Every door He opens will carry responsibility. Every connection He sends will require discernment. Every increase He releases will test what you value most. Think of the parable of the talents. The faithful servant did not bury what was entrusted to him. He multiplied it. He understood that the gift was not simply possession, it was assignment. And chosen one, what God is placing in your hands must not be buried under fear, laziness, confusion, or comparison. You are called to multiply what heaven trusts you with. This means your mindset must shift. You can no longer think only as someone trying to survive the month. You must begin to think as someone preparing to manage impact. You must learn, plan, pray, study, build discipline, honor wise counsel, and protect your spirit from the noise of people who only understand consumption, not calling. The world will tell you to spend to look blessed. God will teach you to steward so others can be blessed. The world will tell you to prove your worth through what you own. God will remind you that your worth was settled before the blessing arrived. The wealth is not your identity. It is a tool in the hands of a surrendered vessel. So prepare now. Prepare before the floodgates open. Prepare before the phone call, the contract, the opportunity, the divine connection. Because when heaven releases what was assigned to you, you must not be found confused at the door. You must be ready to carry it with wisdom. Chosen one, now we must speak about restoration, because the abundance God is preparing is not only about what is coming, it is also about what is being repaired. There are parts of your life where the enemy tried to convince you that the damage was permanent. Time was stolen, confidence was shaken, opportunities disappeared, relationships broke, peace was interrupted. And quietly, you wondered if you would ever recover what you lost. But God is not only a giver, He is a restorer. He knows how to return what was taken and add purpose to the pain that tried to empty you. He knows how to take years that looked wasted and turn them into wisdom that moves you faster than experience ever could. He knows how to rebuild a life so completely that even the scars begin to testify. The wealth coming into your hands is part of that restoration. It is not a shallow reward. It is divine repayment with assignment attached. God is not simply replacing what you lost. He is multiplying what survived. He is taking your endurance, your humility, your compassion, your discernment, and turning them into tools that will open doors you once thought were closed forever. Think of Job. He lost what most people would never recover from, yet he held on to faith when everything around him collapsed. And in the end, God restored him with more than he had before. Not because the pain was easy, but because faith remained alive in the ashes. That is where you are, chosen one. You are not standing in the ruins of defeat. You are standing in the place where restoration begins to rise. So do not let old loss define your expectation. Do not let past disappointment shrink your faith. The God who saw the breaking also knows the rebuilding. The God who watched you weep also prepared the harvest. And when He restores you, it will not be quiet. It will become evidence that nothing surrendered to God is ever truly wasted. Chosen one, this is the moment where everything you have heard must become more than inspiration. It must become a decision. You cannot keep living as if lack has the final word. You cannot keep shrinking your prayers to fit the size of your current circumstances. You cannot keep calling yourself forgotten when God has been preparing you in secret for something that carries weight, influence, responsibility, and generational power. The abundance before you is not just a promise to admire. It is a mantle to carry. It is a holy trust placed into the hands of someone who has been pressed, purified, humbled, stretched, and awakened. You are not stepping into this because you were perfect. You are stepping into this because God has been faithful. He carried you through what should have broken you. He kept your spirit alive when disappointment tried to bury it. He taught you to pray in the dark, to stand in the storm, and to believe when nothing around you looked like the promise. Now the old identity must fall away. You are not just a survivor. You are not just someone trying to make it through another season. You are a steward. You are a builder. You are a vessel of overflow. You are someone God can use to lift others, restore hope, fund purpose, open doors, and leave evidence of His goodness in places where despair once ruled. So tonight, surrender the fear. Surrender the small thinking. Surrender the shame attached to your past. Surrender the voice that told you abundance was for everyone except you. Let God rewrite the story. Let Him place wisdom in your hands, peace in your heart, clarity in your vision, and courage in your steps. Heavenly Father, guide the chosen ones who are hearing this. Prepare their hearts for what you are releasing. Teach them to steward wealth with humility, to walk in purpose with boldness, and to never forget that every blessing is meant to glorify you. Let every closed door that protected them now make sense. Let every tear become testimony. Let every delay become proof of divine timing. Chosen one, rise. Your season is not ending in defeat. It is opening into assignment. You are blessed, you are trusted, and you are ready.